The Sky shooting 38%. Caitlin Clark, another three-pointer. 6 threes on the night.
Still buzzing off a game that had pundits and the crowd on fire, Caitlin Clark took her place at the platform. Out of words. She gracefully answered the typical questions, talking about her approach, her teammates, and her unstoppable performance. However, a reporter's unexpected remark ended the session just as it was coming to an end. It was a surprise, not a question. There was silence in the room. Her look said it all, and Clark froze. What was said, then, and why did it leave her dumbfounded? Let's dissect it. Stephen A. Smith's public admission to Caitlin Clark, the Indiana Fever, had just defeated the defending champions, the Las Vegas Aces, 94-87. Directly on Gainbridge Fieldhouse, their home court, was a declaration, not just any victory, and once leading that assertion. Caitlin Clark, a rookie sensation, was back. Her performance was electrifying. The numbers appear to be something. Like something from a video game. 28 points, including 6 deep threes, on a blistering 11 of 18 from the field. 38 non-stop minutes, 12 assists, 5 rebounds, and just 2 turnovers. There was more to this victory than just padding. With just a few weeks remaining in the season, it solidified Indiana's postseason place and attracted attention from all around the league. Even after the last whistle, the building was alive with activity. Reporters crammed into the post-match. There was a continuous rhythm of camera clicks in the press room, and the atmosphere was charged as if something unexpected was brewing. Arriving at the platform with composure and concentration, Clark responded to the typical barrage of inquiries with her now trademark blend of humility as well as passion. Holly Rowe of ESPN began by inquiring about Clark's growing on-court chemistry with Aaliyah Boston, particularly their deadly pick-and-roll play that destroyed the Aces' defense in the paint for 18 points. With a calm smile, Clark remarked, "The trust is really building. Aaliyah has been understanding while I adapt to the professional game speed. We seem to be reading each other's thoughts tonight." Then there was an unanticipated change. Stephen A. Smith, an ESPN pundit known for his fiery views, is seated in the front row. And TV Antics at last held up his hand. He had been remarkably silent up until now, watching rather than controlling, which was unusual for someone like him. Clark, spotting him, nodded. "Go ahead, Stephen A.," she urged. He got up slowly, with a heavy, reflective quiet instead of frenzied movements or a loud voice. His tone was inconsistent with his brand. It was nearly heavier, deeper, and softer. The typing stopped, the room moved, and the cameras refocused. Even the PR team of the Fever froze. Mid-step. "I've been doing this for over 30 years, he said to Caitlin. "Every kind of player has been covered. You can envision. Legends, rookies, and failures have made a living by criticizing athletes when they fail to meet expectations. I earn a living doing this. However, observing you this season, observing how you've managed I had to reconsider a few things because of the pressure, the hype, and the learning curve." He stopped and rubbed his face with what appeared to be real emotion. "It wasn't a performance. I've needed something to openly and honestly state that I must apologize for something." The whole room was motionless. The question then surfaced. It's a confession disguised as a question, not a challenge. How do you stay composed and focused in the face of folks like me? Have I, in particular, occasionally been unjust, unduly harsh, or even incorrect regarding your move to the WNBA? Quiet. Caitlin Clark, who is usually composed under duress, was taken aback. The participant who had fought screaming, road audiences, fierce Final Four contests, and constant comparisons to her collegiate stats left her stunned. She started to speak, then stopped. Her hands, which had moved assuredly when responding to previous inquiries, lay motionless on the podium now. Last, she muttered, "Wow, I don't even know what to say." Nalissa Smith and Kelsey Mitchell. Sensing the weight of what was ahead, he halted halfway down the hallway to the team bus and turned around. Taking place in professional athletics, it was an uncommon, unvarnished moment when a famous player was totally caught off guard, not by a challenging question, but by an unexpected display of respect and humility. Her voice came back, steady but unsteady. "You probably don't comprehend how much that means, Stephen S. The criticism has been difficult. the uncertainties, and the comparisons. However, it motivated me to put in more effort and demonstrate that I belong to more than just the league, but to my team and to myself. She halted once more, but this time it was out of contemplation rather than shock. The next thing Stephen A. said made that susceptible. Even the most seasoned reporters stunned. What precisely did he disclose, then? To find out, keep watching. Stephen A. Smith makes another startling admission regarding Caitlin Clark. Stephen A. Smith sat motionless, his countenance unusually grave. Then, using a steady hand, he took out several folded sheets of paper from inside his blazer. They weren't polished or typed. These were authentic, handwritten, and unpolished. What was going to happen was obviously not spontaneous. This wasn't your average sports analysis. Everyone in the room could see that it was something more profound, a reckoning. "Feel it," Smith said. "There's something I need to say, in a more subdued tone, and I must publicly state it. Because I publicly chastised someone. Public, I must now identify the remarks I made that weren't totally fair or even well-informed." After taking a quick look at the papers, he turned to face front and started reading in first take. 3 months ago, Caitlin Clark was overhyped. I claimed, I accused our business and ESPN of exaggerating her popularity just. In order to increase ratings, I told her that she still needed to prove herself and that she had a long way to go. That excellence at college didn't imply that she could manage the pros. The press room reverberated with his words. Some reporters had set down their phones. Erica Wheeler and Aaliyah Boston, two of Clark's Indiana colleagues, stood silently at the rear. They had no intention of making a statement. They were just there, captivated by the unexpected feeling that was unfolding before them. Smith went on. "I used reasoning and statistics to support my position, but my tone and delivery came out as condescending. I failed to notice what she'd already completed, how, in a few weeks, she had completely altered the environment surrounding the WNBA. Smith's voice became more steady now, louder and more purposeful. "This is what I've discovered since. Each game, Caitlin Clark averages 19.5 points and 8.4 assists. Throughout her first season and her debut season, Diana Taurasi averaged just 17 points. Sue Bird, only 14.4. Not only are Clark's numbers impressive, they have a long history." He went beyond the numbers. "Attendance increases by over 50% when Indiana plays. Ratings on TV? They've increased threefold. And the sales of her jerseys? More than 200% higher. Beyond the commercial aspect, however, it's her disposition. Her composure, the way she prioritizes her teammates before herself, and the way she consistently shows up for this league." The space appeared to be frozen. Even seasoned reporters listened instead than typing. Smith's voice carried an emotion that was impossible to overlook. "Caitlin, I was mistaken about you. It is incorrect to mistrust your effect or your preparedness. I sincerely apologize to you, the league, and our audience for holding you to antiquated standards." The room changed at that point. Like fireworks, flashbulbs went off. Leaning forward, reporters recorded every word. Holly Rowe of ESPN wiped away tears while making notes on her notepad. Typically stoic, Adrian Wojnarowski was using his phone to record. He had a gut feeling that this was history. Sue Bird even got to her feet, clapping gently at first, then with greater conviction. Others soon joined production teams, media personnel, and even fever workers. It was now a moment rather than a press conference. Aaliyah Boston approached the podium and put a hand there gently, on the shoulder of Clark. Caitlin was still silent. Emotion filled her eyes. Her chest steadily rose and fell, attempting to interpret the scenario that was taking place all around her. Then everyone looked at her. How would she respond? Would his apology be accepted by her? Would she confront him? Would she weep? The room held its breath after that, awaiting Clark's reply. Even the most experienced journalists were taken aback by what she did next. Watch as we reveal every detail. Caitlin Clark responds with a strong message. Took a breath, her voice still full of emotion but now firmer and more steady. She looked at Stephen A. Smith and replied, "You don't owe me an apology. The media is meant to question. USIT is meant to challenge, evaluate, and ensure that we are earning our place in the world. That strain, it's a part of the work. The fact that you are standing here today, rather than the fact that you ever doubted me, is what matters most to me. Admitting that when the facts changed, so did your opinion. It takes courage to be so honest. Her comments rested in the room rather than just reverberating off the walls. She took a long look around at the other journalists, many of whom had inquired about her early difficulties at the difficult beginning of her WNBA career. Her eyes were clear and devoid of resentment. She said, "To be honest, I became enraged by the criticism. In order to prove to myself that I could hang with the best, it forced me to work more and dig deeper. That at this level, I may have an influence. The transition from college to the professional ranks was difficult, but I was confident that I would succeed." At that point, the press conference's tone changed. What had started off as a standard post-game Q&A now seemed more significant. Discussion about the changing landscape of women's basketball, about pressure, and about media accountability. Everyone could sense that it had become personal. Sitting quietly in the back, Adrian Wojnarowski raised his hand. He talked with a remarkable gentleness and was well known for his breaking news scoops. "Caitlin, in reference to what Stephen, how, in your opinion, has the media's portrayal of women's basketball evolved since your arrival? What are your expectations for the future?" Clark was slow. Before responding, she gave a contemplative nod. "It has significantly and favorably changed. Now, there is a lot more coverage. More fans, more cameras. More young girls are observing and thinking that this may be their future. That is enormous. However, more attention also entails increased pressure. And although it's not always a negative thing, only when the critique is impartial and knowledgeable will it be beneficial." She glanced back at Smith for a moment. "That is the aspect of today that I admire." Stephen A's remarks demonstrate his development and attentiveness. "The game of women's basketball is more complex than that of men's. We are constructing something new. It's quicker, more intelligent and unique. It requires coverage that takes that into account. We don't require generic feedback. People who understand what makes this time historic are what we need." Former WNBA player Rebecca Lobo is now an ESPN analyst, bending forward. Her voice gave the mixture an additional level of expertise. "You've been referred to as the face of a rebirth of the WNBA. It's a heavy label. How have you managed to bear that burden?" No longer taken aback, Clark grinned. "To be honest, I never intended to be the face of anything. However, you have the ability to either break or rise when you sense pressure." She hesitated. But there was no debate about what came next. Was the unexpected letter. However, who authored it? And what did it show that made Caitlin fight back tears? Keep your eyes fixed on your screen. The letter that made the room quiet. After Stephen A. Smith startled the audience with a sincere public apology, even the most experienced reporters, with the room still humming with emotion, he gently took a seat again and reached into his jacket's inside pocket. This time, he produced a little folded piece of paper that seemed as though it had been dealt with numerous times and kept close for non-work-related reasons. "I need something else." He started speaking in a quieter, more profound tone. "This could be the most crucial. A portion of everything. Caitlin and my daughter sent me this." The room was filled with a quiet murmur. After pausing, he went on. "Maya is her name. She is 12 years old and a basketball player at her New York middle school. She has been observing your travels since your Iowa junior year. Around the same time that I was questioning your move to the pros a few months back. She sent you a letter. She made me promise that if I ever had the opportunity to see you in person, I would give it to you." Smith got up from his seat and walked carefully over to the podium, holding the small note in his hand. With a quiet, "Thank you," Caitlin Clark received it, clearly moved. Her fingers unfolded slowly. The brittle paper, as if it contained truth rather than only words. Her gaze swept over the letter. She looked interested at first, but her expression soon changed. Emotion, surprise, and a genuine connection. Something is difficult to explain. Her lips curved into a tiny but genuine smile as her eyes sparkled. She gave a blink, attempting to maintain her balance.